ECU? Do you believe purple and gold? Are you ready to hoist the colors?
Hoist the colors!
It's time for the most in-depth look into the world of ECU athletics. Welcome to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game. Watch the show live on Facebook and at 943thegame.com. Here's Stephen Igo.
Welcome in, Hoist the Colors on a Thursday, April 30th edition of the show. A little bit of a different Thursday. We're going to change up things a bit. We got a topic I'm going to throw out there to try to create some discussion. Also, John Moody asked a question about football scheduling yesterday that got me thinking. We know some of the future opponents. We'll run that down, but also what other series do we want to see? What series do we want to see continue? Are there any Power 4 teams that you really want to see on the schedule? With the way the landscape is changing, I feel like scheduling is going to get more and more difficult and has been more and more difficult for a few years now. So we'll get into all that. We may even dive into some basketball, baseball scheduling discussion as well. What teams do we want to see in those respective sports? And feel free to weigh in the comments on YouTube, Facebook, X, specifically YouTube, where I'll see them. And we'll share your comments throughout the show today. We also have a little bit of a change up with Bobby Harwood in studio on a Thursday. Had to do some schedule rearranging this week, and Bobby is able to join us in studio on this Thursday, brought to you by Basil's. Check him out by the AMC Movie Theater. Not Bobby, but Basil's, although sometimes you may see him in there eating in Basil's too.
Never, no. We always are to go.
Oh,
so
to go.
You will not see me eating in there.
Well, you
but
may see him in the pickup.
Yeah.
Where you got to drive in spots 1, 2, or 3.
Yep.
Get your pickup that way.
Not because we dislike Basil's, more so because with 3 small children, it would be complete and utter chaos. But yeah, a little weird being back on a Thursday. It's been since football season when we had those Thursday games. But
that's right.
Appreciate y'all's flexibility. For those of my friends specifically who ask, do I have a job and what do I do? How am I able to get into the studio on Fridays? That is the reason I'm here on a Thursday. I have to be on campus tomorrow. I work in the RTP area, so appreciate y'all's flexibility, being able to make Thursday work, and looking forward to today's topic.
Absolutely. It's always fun to talk scheduling because I think we can take it in any direction possible. Philip Pilkington, he is behind the glass producing as always. Philip, how you doing on this Thursday? You got any playoff teams in action tonight?
I do. Celtics tonight trying to close it out against our guy Mark Miller's Sixers. So if you're at the concert on the Commons tonight and you want to talk to Mark and I during Teardown, we will be watching the games on our phones and maybe not giving you our undivided attention. So if you want to come up and say hello, do it during the concert prior to 8 o'clock.
There you go. You have that going on. Also the Nuggets. We'll see if they can continue their season for yours truly tonight in Minnesota. Big Game 6 in the NBA playoffs. All right. Let's dive in, gentlemen. The future ECU football. We'll start with football. I think that's what most people want to talk about. Future non-conference opponents. I have it pulled up here. And for now, we're going to assume that ECU is going to continue to have kind of 4 non-conference games. There are some teams that or some conferences obviously going to 9, most of them the Power 4 level even. Are some going to 10, or did I dream? I guess it's 9 plus 1 other Power 4.
Yes, 9 plus 1 over Power 4.
Right now, ECU, the American, planning to stay at 8. There's been some small discussion about going to 9. I just don't know if that would benefit the American. But here's how it lays out through the future years, just to kind of give you some perspective. Right, this year, obviously, ECU's at Alabama. They host App State, at Old Dominion, North Carolina Central. In 2027, for next year, they open with Western Carolina, host Georgia State, go to Northwestern in a bye game. Also need a future opponent for 2027. I've heard most likely going to be a regional team, maybe Coastal Carolina, maybe an App State, but it would expect that series to be announced shortly. In 2028, NC State is scheduled to come to Greenville. We'll see if that happens. Coastal Carolina, Charleston Southern also scheduled to come to Greenville, and then at Wake Forest. Remember, Wake canceled the game at ECU for 2027, but ECU still going to Wake in 2028. In 29, right now you've got 2 games, home dates against Old Dominion and Liberty. In 2030, you're scheduled to host Norfolk State, also go to South Carolina and at Old Dominion, so looking for another home game in 2030. You also got Old Dominion at home as your lone game in 2031, and then all the way down in 2034, at Clemson. That was originally scheduled for, I believe, 27 maybe? No, I guess it would have been 29 at Clemson. That has been pushed back to 2034 due to these ACC schedules changing. So before we dive into what we would like to see in the future, we'll kind of go into that discussion. Does anything stand out to you, Bobby, about what's on the docket right now as of today about the future schedules?
First question I have is the NC State game going to happen in 2028?
I think the buyout's only $500,000, so it's not that much.
Yeah, probably not. I'm thinking just ahead. I know JMU's been thrown out there. JMU in 2029 at JMU and 2030 at home. That would fill your second home slot for the out of conference in 2030. But just big picture wise, you mentioned you don't know if the American Conference going to 9 conference games is going to help them. And initially I would agree with you. But then as you think about it more, like these top teams at the group of 5 level are kind of getting squeezed out because of, we've mentioned it already, the Power 4 schedule change, them going to 9 conference games. They have to play another P4. That's 10. Well, they're going to schedule an FCS. That's going to be their 11th game. And then now you're looking at they're going to want to schedule a win, especially playing 10 P4 games. So with that being said, that probably puts us in the bucket of having to schedule Conference USA, having to schedule Sun Belt. Now, from that standpoint, does it benefit us to actually play another conference team rather than a Sun Belt team? I don't know.
I guess it depends on your perspective as far as, a strength of schedule probably, but travel maybe not.
That's
so
fair.
I guess that would come down to if you're trying to position yourself, and too, if you're playing that extra game, that means one more loss for technically half the conference. I guess also one more win, because clearly anytime you play in conference, somebody's going to lose, somebody's going to win. Versus if you play a weaker G6 team, maybe you get more wins.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, that's something I'd have to ask Tim Pernetti. Like, how do you weigh the pros and cons there? What do you think about a potential 9-game American schedule, Philip?
I mean, at the end of the day, you still want to try and get that bye game as much as you can. Now, to Bobby's point, Ball State is more likely to get a bye game than East Carolina because ECU could jump up and upset somebody. They're not losing to Ball State. With that being said, I feel like 8 brings more balance. 1 FCS, which is going to be at home, 1 bye game on the road, a home game, a home away game against, insert other group of 5 school that you can drive to here. But when you do play those home and homes, money has to exchange hands. Do you actually benefit from that? You now have to supply the officials. You now have to dip into your TV contract and pay the opponent out of that. When it's a conference game, it's just business as usual. The conference handles it. The conference schedules the officials. You don't have to pay Memphis to come play here. So there's that benefit. Does that outweigh the benefit of busing as opposed to flying? I don't know. That'd be a Tim Pernetti question, or maybe even someone in our athletic department could answer that. So I think it all comes down to in an era where you have to pay players what makes the most financial sense. Is it hey, we bus up to Norfolk to play ODU, or we fly to San Antonio and play against UTSA? I don't know. Whatever it is, but I say go where the money is. Do what's going to help you the most, going to put the most money in your pocket for the rev share.
A lot of good thoughts there for sure. And we know John Gilbert's philosophy with scheduling non-conference-wise is, unless it's a bye game, more than likely ECU is going to be playing a regional team it can bus to save money. That's why you see a lot of these schools, like App State, Old Dominion, Georgia State. I guess you would have to fly to Atlanta, but Georgia State making the return trip to ECU in 27, so that's not as big a concern. But even the Boise State series was canceled. Kind of both ADs agreed to it because of the travel. So I tell you what, let's kind of go conference by conference here. We're just going to assume we can have a discussion on Power 4, like who would we like ECU to play, even on the road. I'm going to assume right now that unless legislation steps in with NC State, North Carolina, Wake, I guess Wake's and Duke are private schools, so it wouldn't matter with them. I'm just going to assume it's going to be very hard to get a Power 4 school in Greenville in the near future. So I'm looking mainly at home and homes for future series with other leagues in the group of 5, however you want to term it. I'm going to start with the Sun Belt. I think this is the most likely. And I'm going to start at the top with App State. I personally, guys, and I know it's a little far for an in-state school, but I want to see ECU and App State play every year. Is that too much?
I was going to say the exact same thing. To me, like, I went to the game when they were last in Greenville. Freaking awesome. Awesome atmosphere. I had friends travel up to Boone for that game back when we were starting Alex Flynn. And they even had a great time with Alex Flynn at quarterback. So, to me, that's one that happens every year. And 2 schools with a heavy football culture, I think it's a perfect match.
I guess the only fear I have, could it become stale if you play every year? But I think it just grows to me.
I do too. I think it becomes what people want Charlotte to be.
Yeah.
If you have an opponent that you play every year, congratulations. That's one less game where you've got to worry about somebody canceling, how to schedule games, any other craziness that goes on with scheduling outside of conference. So if you have a locked-up opponent, boom, it's there. As to whether or not it'll go stale, I don't think so. I think the fan bases, both of these fan bases bleed into the Raleigh area well, bleed into the Charlotte area well. I don't even know if we get the full wrath of it here in Greenville, or they get the full wrath of the rivalry in Boone. It's living in up and down the I-85 corridor where you've got people who work with each other who, hey, the guy in the cubicle next to me went to the other school. And it becomes even a bigger rivalry outside of these 2 cities. Also, I mean, there are teams that do this out of conference, right? Georgia Tech, South Carolina, Clemson. For years, Colorado State was a huge rivalry. And the crazy thing is those aren't even schools that absolutely hate each other in every sport, like a Duke, North Carolina deal. But when that football game got played at Mile High every year, that was huge.
All right, so I'm looking at the last 3 ECU app games. And last in 2024, your attendance for ECU hosting App State was 46,000. And obviously the Pirates didn't get it done. App has won all 3 of these games, by the way. But I think it's worth even mentioning, obviously, App's brought a ton of fans every time they played at ECU. When ECU went to App, they had a crowd of 40,000, which I think at the time was a record. I don't know what their...
Yeah, they brought in like temporary seating, didn't they, or something?
So it was a madhouse. It was an awesome environment. I just remember their... I don't know if they do this every game, but I vividly remember their mascot doing the zip line off the press box. So that was pretty cool. I was scared for a second they was going to fall and get hurt. And then you had the game in Charlotte in 2021 that had 36,700. So I'm even for, hey, going 3 years in Greenville, 3 years in Boone, obviously alternating, and then maybe every decade one game in Charlotte. I don't know. I just feel like, to me, it makes the most sense. Yet Boone and Greenville are far apart, but like you have 2 schools that care about football. So I just would like to see that happen. And right now, for future years, we know App obviously coming to ECU this year. There is no further App game. Now, John Gilbert has said him and Doug Gillen are fine discussing an extension. It sounds like it's going to happen, but I'm just like, man, let's just do it every year at this point. And I think it elevates the profile of both schools. A good rivalry does, because you're going to see less and less in-state games go on over time as a result of the expansion. All right,
I do just want to say, you said the once every about 10 years in Bank of America. I say, yeah. Like, as much as some people are probably right now are thinking, go one home, one away, one neutral, the amount of money I'm sure it costs to rent out the stadium, it's just not the financially best thing. So I like what you said there about the 10 every decade or so.
All right, other schools in the Sun Belt. So Coastal, it sounds like that series will continue. I mean, I'm fine with it. It's a short drive. Coastal is a very young program, and they don't have the best fan base. But I went there this past. I've been to Conway too many times. I've been 3 years now, or 3 times in the past year for the regional, the baseball series, and the football series. But it's a good campus, easy to get to. So I'm fine with it being a home and home. I don't want it every year. I don't know, any thoughts on Coastal?
I'd agree with that. There's other teams that we're going to discuss here that I would put in the pecking order. I have, regardless, App State is number one in that pecking order, but for sure, Coastal is kind of down the list a little bit.
I wouldn't mind the baseball, though.
Baseball, keep it going every year, which Cliff Godwin did say they are going to continue that series, so that is a major positive.
I'll also add basketball into that, even though nobody really cares. You know? I mean, they're not great at basketball. We're not obviously great at basketball. I think it works out.
It's better than playing Delaware State.
100%. Or Maryland Eastern Shore.
Absolutely. Some of these other teams, like Sunbelt West, probably doesn't make sense. We'll get to Southern Miss in a minute, but like Arkansas State probably doesn't make sense. Louisiana, I don't think so. What do we think about Georgia State, Georgia Southern? ECU did have a home with Georgia State. It's a little far, but at least somewhat regional. Any interest?
I get why they did to Georgia State with them being in Atlanta, recruiting hotbed. Obviously, I don't know if we still do. We pulled a ton of kids from Atlanta. That standpoint alone is where it's helpful. But from just a football standpoint, I'd much prefer Georgia Southern. I know they haven't been
culture.
Yeah, they have some culture. They have some history. They haven't been as great recently, but I still think it's a good program.
All right, James Madison is interesting to me, and John Gilbert had a comment when he was in here saying that he talked to another, non-Power 4 school that has a really good program and said, hey, we have to figure out a way to schedule anybody. And I don't know if it's James Madison, but to me it seems like it could be James Madison. They just made the playoff. Yes, they're newer to FBS, but this feels like a series that could be coming as well. How do we feel about James Madison?
I'd love it. I'd be all for it. I think it would be an easy enough trip too for fans, for people in Greenville, to be able to go and see them play at James Madison. But obviously, I think they travel well too. They're becoming more and more of a national known program with some of their success they've had. To me, of the Sun Belt teams, this would be number 3. We haven't touched on number 2 yet.
Okay. Harrisonburg, Virginia, Greenville, 4.5 hours. Philip,
that's an easy drive. And look, if we want to elevate ourselves, like you guys said, it's going to be tough to get these power teams coming in here. Your best bet is to schedule the highest ranked team that you can find a way to schedule. And I think they are investing well. They are putting themselves in a position to be successful moving forward. And look, you want in an ideal world that you play them in the regular season, they win their league, you win yours, and maybe that game ends up being determine who gets in the playoff and not, that gets played in week 3. I mean, if it gets where it's that big of a game, I'm not saying it would be that way every year, but if both teams continue to invest at the rate they're doing, that could be a really crucial game in the landscape of college football and how the playoff plays out.
Yeah, it just feels like that one's on the horizon. Again, I don't have any inside sources there, but it makes sense. Regional foe, good team, and it makes sense for both sides. So let's go ahead and get a break in so we don't get too far behind here. We still have some other Sun Belt teams to run through. Marshall, Southern Miss, historic rivalries. We'll discuss, do those need to get back on the schedule, and more after this.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Healthwise Pharmacy rounds the bases with all of your infusion, retail, compounding, and medical equipment needs. Locally owned and operated by pharmacist Marcy Parker, Healthwise has grown to be your most trusted provider for infusion services. Currently providing in-home or on-site infusions in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Visit Healthwise Pharmacy at 615B South Memorial Drive or call 252-295-0059 to speak to a patient service representative to find the option that best suits your needs.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Go Pirates! Arrgh!
In this age of globalization, we've learned that bigger isn't always better.
Ever tried to get phone help from a big corporation from a real person? Right. That's what's so nice about Phelps Chevrolet. After more than 50 years serving our community, Phelps remains family-owned and operated. Mike, Daryl, Wave, West, Alan, and Clay deliver hometown service and integrity, same as always. They share your experience, they share your values, and they are ready to help with any motoring need. Come get you one.
Daughtridge Gas and Oil has been your dependable propane supplier for 95 years. Their trained technicians can service and properly install all your propane and natural gas appliances. Plus, Daughtridge Gas and Oil is your backyard expert with fire pits, grills, smokers, and more, including quality outdoor furniture at their Greenville Patio and Hearth Shop at 1901 Charles Boulevard. Go by and see the knowledgeable staff at Daughtridge Gas and Oil for propane delivery or call 756-1345.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leyva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice.
Loyal and bold, we're the purple and golds.
Yo ho ho!
And we're back to Hoist the Colors with Steve and Igo on 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Fun show today. We're talking a lot of scheduling, and I figured it'd be good to break it up a bit. We'll dive more into ECU baseball tomorrow, and we may touch on it at the end of this show. Pirates head to Memphis. We'll have Hoist the Colors intern Peyton Brady in studio, also intern Isaiah. We'll be hanging out as well. We'll hit on a little bit of everything. Bobby Harward in here on a Thursday, brought to you by Basil's. And we got some comments I'll read here. So, Curveball 135 says, ECU versus App needs to be an annual rivalry. Call it the Gold Cup and get TV/national spotlight and maybe play it the first week of each season. So there is an idea, and I'd be all for that.
Well, and everybody's supposed to be moving to week 0 games, correct?
Yeah.
That's your week 0 game.
Kenneth says ECU App should be our final game of the regular season on rivalry weekend.
Ooh, I love that better than playing like Rice or UAB or some FAU random team.
You know, and I know that some are against this because like you have students out of town, but I guess with is the calendar changing to week 0, is it still going to be is the final game still going to be after Thanksgiving though?
My thought would be it. Well, I think I'm trying to remember.
I guess
exactly.
if they're adding an extra bye, it would just be
I was
going
to say if they're adding an extra bye, but eventually though, when they extend the playoffs and get rid of the conference championship game, it may bump up.
You know, if you could assuredly have students. Because I think you want the students to be a part of the game, but somehow these other schools make it work.
Well, if you have it against App State, though, both teams are in state. Yeah. So, and a lot of the population at each school are in-state students. They'd actually care about the opponent. They probably go rather than playing a random team.
Yeah, much more likely to set up for that than show up for that than FAU. RB says minus the cold game in Boone on Thanksgiving. It would be freezing. Maybe we go with week 0, week 1.
I don't know. Some snow on the ground would be pretty cool. You may not enjoy covering it you would be warm in the press box. You'll be okay.
Well, here's the thing. John Gilbert, rightfully so, has kind of said that he pushes to be on the road that week because of Thanksgiving. Would that be a way to maximize your Thanksgiving week attendance because it is this game? And even more so, hey, the App fans can travel. We can travel there because a lot of people have Friday off. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it hurts it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it hurts. But I think this is almost a way to flip the script in a way by doing it the last game.
I think the ECU Cincinnati game in 2021 showed me that you can get a good crowd if it's a good game on Thanksgiving. That was, 38,000. Now, Cincinnati was ranked
in the top 4.
Yeah, 4th nationally. But, it's not like they brought any fans. So, you still had 38,000 people show up for a game on that Saturday to face, for a big game. So, you could have a big crowd.
Yeah, you're probably talking 37 of those 38 are ECU fans. You bring App, maybe they bring 7 to 10. And that puts you close to 45, a little higher.
So, if it's a big game, both teams are having a good year, it could probably sustain itself. So,
I do like the Friday move, though, Philip.
Yeah.
If it's every year on that Friday would be pretty awesome.
Oh, yeah, that too. I wasn't even saying specifically. I'm just saying even if you play Saturday, people can make the drive on Friday better knowing they've got the, hey, I'm going to make the drive, spend the night. Mm-hmm. As opposed to, but yeah, I mean, heck, playing it on Friday would be great too.
All right, some more comments here before we get back to the Sun Belt. Kenneth says, I'd rather just have James Madison and Coastal join the American as 2 additional members. James Madison, I can see. I don't think Coastal's joining the American. James Madison has great funding, though, for people that don't realize it. Their budget, I think, in the FCS was bigger, their football budget, than ECU's. So
I hope so, considering they beat us.
Yeah, I mean, the Mike Houston Bowl definitely would be an entertaining game. Bring back Mike Houston, honor him at halftime during James Madison ECU first game.
And then you have the winner gets a chain to lock the gates.
Something tells me he's not going for this.
We can do it in his honor. He doesn't have to show up. That's fine. All right. Back to the Sun Belt discussion. We'll get into more comments here in a minute. All right. So, like Louisiana, South Alabama, Troy, UL Monroe, I don't think any of those make sense. I saw enough of Louisiana in the New Orleans Bowl that one time, Bobby.
Yeah, the Raging Cajuns.
They were fired up.
They were loud.
That was the loudest.
They were so loud.
The Superdome was loud that day.
They enjoyed Bourbon Street, too.
There's no doubt. All right, Old Dominion. I'm fine. Look, I'm fine with Old Dominion. It's already on the schedule. I'm just fine with it. I don't really. It's an easy game for ECU fans to attend. Short drive, saves money. I don't really have much else to add.
I would add this to me is if you're talking compared to these other teams, this is a team you play every maybe 3 years, and I would prefer to have like a 2-for-1, like 2 home games compared to 1. I know they're not going to see it that way, but
they don't really bring many fans when they come here. ECU brings a ton of fans when they go there, so yeah, I agree with that. All right, Marshall. We'll start with them. Marshall, ECU obviously linked due to the plane crash. And, a tragedy, but the 2 schools have always had an interesting connection as a result and a great respect for one another. This is a 7-hour trip. Huntington and Greenville are not easy places to get to, especially when traveling from Greenville to Huntington and vice versa. It's a 7-hour drive, so you're probably flying. But I do think that, like, the history of this rivalry and the fact that you have the schools always connected, I think this is a game that should be played every now and then as like a home and home, maybe once a decade. Now, ECU and Marshall did play in 2023. ECU is scheduled to go to Marshall for a return trip in 2025. And because ECU had already had the canceled game in Greenville in the COVID year, they were supposed to play on the 50th anniversary on week 0. I would have loved to have seen that game. Obviously, it didn't happen. Because that game was canceled, ECU ended up canceling the 2025 game, and the series was canceled. But I don't know. I don't think it's an easy trip, but this to me is a game that should be played every now and then.
I agree that this is my number 2 school from the Sun Belt, just below App State and ahead of JMU. The reason I say ahead of JMU, completely understanding the travel aspect, and I get the scheduling and that mechanics of that with John Gilbert and his philosophy. But the history behind it, to me, is why I want to see this game continue. And then, honestly, dude, when we went up there in 2013, I mean, we got destroyed, but I was always up in the press box.
It's a fun place to play.
Yeah, dude, we got just berated running up to the press box, and no other teams in Conference USA would berate us like that. And the only other comparable one was NC State. Like, those fans don't like us. There's a history there, and that rivalry just makes sense to me.
Any thoughts on Marshall, Philip?
Yeah, I mean, the problem is, like you guys said, it's a flight, right? So this can be your one exception to your rule. Don't fly unless it's a bye game. Your one exception is Marshall. Again, this can't be an every year. Probably shouldn't even be an every other year kind of game. But what if we played them once every 4 years, once every 5 years? And so then you're only having to fly once every 8 to 10 years. You could theoretically see each student that goes to school at your school for 4 years gets to either at least travel to this game or have them play at home. So if you play once every 4 years, again, you only fly once every 8. Yes, it's a little more of an expensive trip than you planned, but you know it's on the horizon. You can budget for it. you could put a little money back each month, like you're budgeting for a vacation if you're the athletic department, and keep the history there, keep the rivalry alive. Some things are bigger than just football, so I say keep it, but do it in, don't overdo it just solely because of the fact that it is a flight.
All right, Southern Miss. So this is it's kind of a complicated one because unless you grew up like in Greenville and like understand the history of these two schools, and ECU played Southern Miss when you were on staff, Bobby, and you probably got a sense of it, and with Ruff obviously being a part of it. Like this was like the game on ECU's schedule outside of the in-state games as a kid. Like my dad would always be like, "Oh, we're playing Southern Miss this week, man. These guys are tough. They got our number." And like it just goes back. Both teams were independent for a while. Similar stories. ECU had to deal with State Carolina. Southern Miss had to deal with Mississippi State. And Ole Miss, obviously, the little brother syndrome, whatever you want to call it. And, like, this was just for whatever reason, these two teams hated each other when they played. And you had some fights break out. It's just a historic rivalry in football. But, the teams are so far apart, it made sense that when ECU left Conference USA that they have not played since because it is a long trip. So, I go back and forth on this. I think it'd be like nostalgic to play them, but I just don't know if it makes sense now, especially since their program has kind of fallen off a bit.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Back then, they were a competitive team, and they were a tough and physical team. We went to Southern Miss.
The
I want to
Rock.
say twice when we were there. Dude, one of the hardest I've ever laughed is in that locker room. Kerry Gadet, former ECU Pirate, and Harold Robinson, rest in peace, were going at it over Brett Favre and Ray Guy in the locker room. There's more details to the story I cannot share over air, but me and Trip Weaver were in tears laughing in that locker room. But it was always a fun matchup. It was one of those games when we prepared for it, there's some extra focus that week.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. The distance, them just being in the dumps recently, it doesn't really make sense.
1983 through 2013, they met every year. So you had a span of what was that, 30 years? And so I'm kind of sad as a young Igo to see it go away, but I understand why. Philip, any thoughts here?
I wonder if you schedule this as a home and home just one time and see what happens.
Yeah.
Does the fire get lit back? If it does, great. Now the tough thing is, again, it's a flight. And if we start making the Marshall exception and then start making the Southern Miss exception, you're in a bad spot.
You have to space them out.
But, again, enough people here care. Now, the current students, unless they grew up ECU fans, don't. The current players and coaches don't. I'm guessing the people down there who are of your age group, Stephen, probably do. A lot of my friends who grew up here, who are between my age and your age, do. See if it sparks, I guess. But at the end of the day, is it going to? Who knows? I think it's kind of a niche group of people that would really get up for it. Now, the niche group is your hardcore fans, but Southern Miss came here next year, our students can be, oh my goodness, we can't leave. Tarps off, Southern Miss is in town. Most of them don't even know.
You'd have to bring back the video files of there was a game I think where ECU got hosed on a call and a fan rushed the field and punched the referee or something like that. There's been some crazy stuff. You'd have to go back through the footage and kind of hype it up, but it could be done. It would just have to be a one-off for sure.
Or the
All right,
C.J.
Oz,
Wilson
you know
blocked field goal.
Yeah, where he returned that for two. That was critical.
Yeah, extra point. Yeah,
that was an awesome game. What'd you say, Philip?
I said, all right, Oz, you know what your job is leading into this game if he's listening.
I would be excited if they announced the renewal of the series. I just know there'd probably be a lot of younger pirates who be like, Southern Miss, why are we wasting our time with this? So it is kind of niche, whatever you want to call it. But I don't know. I'd be hyped for it, and I would do my best to explain why everybody else should. I'll put it that way. All right, let's get another break in. We'll come back. We'll continue to look around. Are there any other teams in the group of five you should look at scheduling? How do we feel about Liberty? We'll discuss that and look at other programs maybe in the region as well. This is Hoist the Colors.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human. about creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice agency.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you farm to fork beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes, just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to fork beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
In Eastern North Carolina, people appreciate things that are straightforward, honest, and dependable. For decades, our team has focused on cutting through insurance complexity for the communities we serve. And now, we're bringing that same mindset to our name. We're Flatlands Insurance Group, a simpler name that reflects the same local team, the same values, and the same commitment to the great communities we feel blessed to be a part of. Flatlands Insurance Group, your whole world is covered.
Make every day electric on the Kawasaki Electro 20 electric balance bike. Maximize the fun with long run times, impressive top speed, and Kawasaki build quality. Easy adjustability and smooth handling make everyday riding more enjoyable. And the standard MTB type tires provide off-pavement capability. The Kawasaki Electro 20 is the electric balance bike that's built to rip. Go to Ron Ayers Motorsports, Memorial Drive north of the airport, Greenville.
Inner Banks Media presents the return of Concert on the Common.
This year, we're live from the tailgate lot at Dowdy-Ficklin Stadium.
Coming up May 21st, Trial by Fire, a tribute to Journey.
Join us Thursday, May 21st for Trial by Fire at the new Tailgate Plaza next to Town Bank Tower at Dowdy-Ficklin Stadium.
Details at concertonthecommon.org.
Get ready to board. We're live with Steve and Igo on 94.3 The Game. Now, back to Hoist the Colors.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the Colors. We're talking football scheduling today. Future opponents we'd like to see. And just throw out any ideas. We're going to kind of run through some of the conferences here that are more so non-regional. We'll start with Conference USA. I'll just run through the names. Delaware, FIU, Jacksonville State, Kennesaw State, Middle Tennessee, Missouri State, New Mexico State, Sam Houston, Western Kentucky. I didn't name Liberty because we'll discuss that in a minute. Did any of those schools interest anybody?
Only if Kennesaw comes here. That would be it.
Did you unplug your mic, Bobby? It's on in here.
I did not.
No.
All right.
See if we can get it fixed. He did say only Kennesaw State. Yeah, look, no disrespect to Blake Harrell's former program, but I don't want to go to Kennesaw. So,
yeah, it does not. Can you hear me in the ear?
Still not getting you. Yeah, I mean, most of these schools, as we were discussing during the break, still just basically up from FCS is the biggest issue. So, I don't know. Liberty, I'll say this. I went there, super nice facilities. I have no real interest in playing them again, though.
I have zero interest in playing them.
We've lost Bobby's mic somehow, so Philip's going to continue to try to get him back. They spend a lot of money, and they're honestly a team that I could see maybe in the American one year with their funding, just based on the fact of how much they spend. But I don't know, man. It's after going there and seeing the facilities, I'm like, they just have too much money to go around. But I don't know. All right, let's see if we can get Bobby now.
All right, can you hear me now?
I got you.
Perfect.
I don't know what happened to your mic, but Philip,
I had it on in here. I don't know.
Like,
I turned them on.
You're in like NASCAR pit stop mode there, just scrambling, grabbing equipment. So
dude, your hop over your footwork over the cord, avoiding the cords, impressive.
Appreciate it.
All right, another school here. I was running through the FBS Independence. Does anybody want to reunite with UConn?
I don't, but I'll take a trip to South Bend. It's on the bucket list to go to.
Yeah, that is one school I'd love to see ECU go to.
Yeah, that'd be cool. But those are the only independent schools.
Those are the only independent schools.
UMass got in a conference.
Kenneth Mayer says UConn maybe not a bad occasional opponent. I think ECU would have to be pretty desperate. After going there and drinking Diet Coke from 5 years that was expired.
Well, and it's so weird because
they're options.
Their campus, their stadium and campus are so far apart. Like it's just they didn't have any fans, nothing. It was, and the other thing is when you schedule so far out in advance. I know they've had some good years under Mora, but it's just so hard to predict that.
I don't think most UConn fans know that UConn has a football team.
It's probably fair.
Their priorities are men's basketball, women's basketball, and then probably like wrestling or something.
Hockey,
yeah.
The MAC, Akron, Ball State, Bowling Green, Buffalo, Central Michigan, Eastern Michigan, Kent State, UMass, Miami of Ohio, Sacramento State. What? Yeah, they're in the MAC. Toledo and Western Michigan. Again, regionally, none of these make sense. If they're willing to come here, I think that's about the only way.
I don't even want them here.
You don't want them?
I don't even want them here.
I want Bowling Green to come here solely so Jim Zoki can have to be biased towards East Carolina on a broadcast against his alma mater. That's really the only reason I want Bowling Green to come here, because it'd be funny.
The Mountain West, you've got Air Force. I've got enough of the academies already. I'm good. Hawaii.
Hell yeah, let's go to Hawaii.
I mean, if somebody's sending me out there, absolutely. Nevada, New Mexico, North Dakota State now in the Mountain West, Northern Illinois. Some of this is just getting stupid. Northern Illinois is in the Mountain West, San Jose State, UNLV, UTEP, Wyoming. Unless somebody's sending me to Vegas or Hawaii, I'm good.
Yeah, this conference is doo-doo now, so there's no reason in playing these teams.
Can we do a basketball thing where we go to Hawaii and hit Vegas on the way back?
I'd be fine with that.
We have to travel, play in the Maui Invitational. Now that everybody else is going to this other tournament in Vegas early in the year, so we play in Maui and then come back and hit UNLV on the way home.
I'd be completely fine with that. All right, last group of five conference here. None of these make sense travel-wise, but what I will say, you at least have some pretty good programs here. Boise State, Colorado State, Fresno State, Oregon State, San Diego State, Texas State, Utah State, Washington State. If the American did a American versus Pac-12 challenge, because to me these are going to be the two leagues that consistently vie for the college football playoff.
Yeah.
Who would you want to see ECU matched up against?
Send me to Albertson Stadium in the blue turf, baby.
Yeah, I was going to agree. Boise State. Yeah, I think that's the easy answer there. I know Colorado State, your former program.
Yeah. Took them to a national title.
Has some cool history to it, but I mean, none of those other teams really piqued my interest. Maybe San Diego State, that would be another cool one, but Boise State runs away with it.
Nice thing is if we go to Colorado State, I can probably, Bobby, I can get you tickets. Obviously, Steve and I get media passes, but a lot of my cousins have CSU season tickets. So
perfect.
Send me to Pullman, Washington, man. I don't know, something about ECU, Washington State. You got the Gardner Minshew connection.
Gardner Minshew Bowl. Have him come out and do the coin toss.
I just feel like that would be somehow a good game. I don't know why.
I had the chance to go to Pullman, Washington, and I decided to coach at Pamlico High School in Bayboro, North Carolina instead.
You may have made the right decision, but I feel like they've got a pretty good fan base, and they kind of get disrespected some, especially now that them and Oregon State got left out of the greener pasture, so to speak. So there's that. All right, Power 4 schools. Let's, for me, we'll hit on the NC State, North Carolina thing, and then we'll get a break in. To me, NC State, ECU is, no matter where it's played, is the best football environment when both schools are good and engaged in the state of North Carolina. App State, ECU has been up there, and North Carolina it's a basketball school. Duke, Wake, they're basketball schools. They don't bring the same juice, but To me, ECU, NC State, when those two teams are good and they meet on the gridiron, it's what football is all about. So I don't know if they're going to come to Greenville in 2028. We'll see. How do we feel about ECU still playing them in Charlotte every once in a while? Even though it's kind of dumb if you think about it, that both schools are going west to play a football game when they could just either stay in Raleigh or go east on a short drive.
Are you asking instead of a home and home, a game in Raleigh and a game in Charlotte, or just one neutral site game?
That's what I don't know. I've heard. I just think NC State's going to be very resistant to come here unless they're forced to. So should we settle in the meantime until legislation maybe gets involved to play a game in Charlotte?
I think so. Yeah. Phrasing the way that question was asked, is it NC State in Charlotte or no NC State at all?
Right. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting.
That I would be cool with that because I'd much rather do that than play like Georgia State.
Yeah.
So here's my thing. NC State in Charlotte is going to cost us money. We are not going. That's not a buy game. So if we can get that and a buy game, great. But I don't want that App and Old Dominion and Campbell because now we're not making any money.
It would have to be strategically placed.
Yes.
Which I do feel like John Gilbert, I know people have had complaints with his scheduling. I think it's more so a sign of the times than John Gilbert. But I feel like he is pretty strategic in how he chooses his spots for these things. I'm looking, let's say 2028. All right, in 2028, you host Coastal, you host Charleston Southern, you go to Wake Forest. You're going to get paid for the Wake Forest game. What if NC State calls you and says, hey, we're going to buy out the game for $500,000, but we'll agree to play in Charlotte?
How much are we having to pay Tepper to play in Charlotte?
That's a valid point.
Yeah, I mean, are we going to spend $300,000 of that to rent out the stadium, and then we've got to take our equipment trucks that much farther and then pay for hotel rooms in a big city as opposed to playing
all valid points.
Yeah, but then what if the return is, hey, you're paying, I don't know, Ball State to come down here? Maybe it is better. Maybe you break even if you go to Charlotte, but then you got to pay some crap school to come here, and then it's a buy game for them. I don't know. It's just you're not giving me enough information to answer the question. Is the point.
The question too that may steer one way or the other. If that game were to occur in Charlotte, concessions and parking and all that stuff, does all that go to Tepper? Or
Tepper doesn't own any of those lots. Those city owns. Those are all city-owned lots.
Concessions and stuff.
Concessions, probably. That dork ain't giving us any money.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a stingy turd.
We've had doo-doo and turd throughout this segment.
FCC ain't coming after me for doo-doo and turd.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't have a good feeling about that game, and if they do just pay to buy it out, maybe you go buy a Ball State game. I don't know. We're just hammering Ball State.
I said them early. Sorry. Delaware.
Yeah.
Delaware.
I don't
fighting
know.
Joe Flacco.
But then your home schedule is Delaware, Coastal, Charleston Southern. So you're in kind of a tough spot. I don't know. All right, let's get a break in. We'll come back. We'll hit any other any other Power 4 schools that we want to see ECU play a bye game at. We'll hit that. Also, any basketball, baseball series we really want to see as well. Let's get a break in, and we'll come back. We'll wrap up the show after this.
Get ready to bring on the savings at Greenville Toyota with major deals on brand new Toyotas like a Camry, $229 a month, or RAV4, $279 a month. Now's your turn to save at Greenville Toyota.
In Eastern North Carolina, hard work matters, and it always has. At Flatlands Insurance Group, we've been showing up for our neighbors since 1963, helping families and business owners navigate change, weather tough seasons, and keep moving forward. Decades later, our purpose hasn't changed: to help protect what you've poured your time and energy to, from your home to your health to whatever comes next. Flatlands Insurance Group, your whole world covered.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's Cut in Color and let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
At National Finance, we're all about hometown support, just like ECU football. National Finance helps us win on and off the field. They've got your back when you need it most. Fast, easy personal loans for life's big plays. And just like us, they're committed to Eastern North Carolina. National Finance, proud supporters of ECU athletics. Visit nfcmoney.com for loans as fast as today.
Your future is full of possibilities, and Pitt Community College can help you explore every option. You can earn a degree, learn a trade, transfer to a university, or launch a new career. We offer the support you need to succeed with flexible schedules, affordable tuition, and programs designed for the real world. Your path, your future, your college. Pitt Community College. Register now.
Bring on the savings with new Toyotas from $159 a month at Greenville Toyota. Get huge discounts like Corolla's $159 a month or Tacoma's $249 a month. Save today at Greenville Toyota, where our volume saves you money.
Visit Larry's Steakhouse for a tender, hand-cut certified Angus ribeye. Other entrees include perfectly seasoned pork chops, chicken, or seafood favorites like shrimp, tuna, and salmon. Complement your meal with Larry's fresh 20-plus item salad bar, or enjoy it as an all-you-can-eat entree. Daily rotating favorites include meatloaf, chicken pastry, hamburger steak, spaghetti, pork chops, and more, all complemented with your favorite country sides. Whether it's for lunch, dinner, or our Sunday brunch, remember to support and eat local. Larry's Steakhouse.
The Pirates play here. Time to play the game! This is Hoist the Colors with Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game.
Welcome back in. Final segment here, Hoist the Colors. Bobby Harward brought to you by Basil's today. Hanging out on a Thursday instead of a Friday due to work reasons. We also got Philip Pilkington producing. A lot of scheduling talk today. We'll see what else we can get in this final segment. A lot of comments. We talked about the group of five. Other Power four schools we'd like to see ECU play. Probably on the road for right now, given the landscape of college football. Kenneth says Big 12 schools I would like Baylor, Kansas State, West Virginia, or Oklahoma State. With how realignment is going, he adds Wake Forest might be a conference game someday. And he also says we have the chip on the shoulder mentality of the new Big 12. We should play those schools more often. ECU versus Texas Tech, Rough and Lincoln Riley Bowl. Kenny Curlin says I just want to go to Nashville, so give me Vanderbilt. I mean,
I like where your head's at.
Already going to Chicago for Northwestern. I'm fired up about that trip. I'd be down for a bye game at Vandy. I mean,
oh yeah,
I don't expect them to sustain this success, but for so long. So, like, to me, the Northwestern game's a winnable bye game. You're not getting a ton of money. So, what other schools would y'all like to see ECU play out one day potentially?
That was kind of my thought process when you had proposed that question of this discussion in our group text thread. One that I don't necessarily know is winnable, but I think would be a good matchup and one that fans would be able to attend is Georgia Tech. I think being able to go to Atlanta would be good. I know Miami, there's some history there, but I have no desire to go down to South Florida and get our butts drugged. West Virginia was one that came to mind. And then the other two were, again, regional games that people can attend but are winnable, Maryland and UVA. Those were the other two that stood out to me.
What I like is with some of these is, how easy is it to get there? If you do play a Vanderbilt, if you do play a Georgia Tech, even a Miami, you're flying into major airports. It's a lot easier to get there. As cool as some of these places would be in the SEC, how easy is it to get to Starkville, Mississippi? I have no idea. I don't even know what the closest airport to Starkville is. So I'm sure they've got a little regional in there. But I think that's the big thing is we want to go to these places. That's what's great about the Chicago thing is like, you have O'Hare, you have Midway, you have two major international airports that's very easy to get to. So that's kind of where I go if it's not real regional and drivable, is give me places, even like a TCU. Like it'd be really fun to go to Dallas, and they've got some history there as well. So that's kind of how I feel as opposed to going to like Lubbock.
Give me the USC Trojans. I heard that when ECU was looking for a bye game along with Bama and a few others, they were talking to USC. So that would have been cool to see Lincoln Riley. Speaking of Lincoln Riley.
Los Angeles Coliseum.
You know what wouldn't have been cool is staying up till 10 p.m. to watch starting kickoff.
That would not be so great. Yeah, I mean, outside of that, like a Penn State would be cool, or some of these SEC powers like LSU, Tennessee, even Texas. So I've seen ECU in the swamp. You have too, Bob. So Yeah, that was a fun experience. What about Virginia Tech now that Whit Babcock is gone? Maybe
there's a lot of history there.
Yeah.
Again, kind of like Southern Miss. I don't know if everybody, the younger fans, would know it, but like we're supposed to hate Virginia Tech. We've hated Virginia Tech since the 90s. Yeah, bring that back.
And again, they probably wouldn't come here, but I'd be fine going to VT.
Oh, yeah, it'd be a fun trip.
Last time, one of the last times there, you guys got a big win. So, yeah, even Syracuse, ECU and Syracuse have some history. Pittsburgh, does Pittsburgh want to run it back after the Military Bowl?
Dude, I'm over playing in NFL stadiums, so that's a big deterrent for me. Pittsburgh and Syracuse don't do it for me. I know there is some history there, but they don't get me excited.
Johnny Stat says, is there a reason why the Pirates very rarely play Davidson in basketball or baseball? Probably net rankings in basketball, baseball, their RPI. So they do scrimmage each other, though. They scrimmage each other.
They had one decent year in baseball a couple years back, but still, that's a little haul for.
Yeah. Any other Davidson before we get out of here? Basketball or baseball schools you want to see?
Davidson was our measuring stick game, wasn't it, for our exhibition?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he played good against Davidson.
Yeah.
They heard he looked really good in that scrimmage, but maybe we can. I meant to get to more basketball, baseball discussion, but honestly, we talk so much football.
Let's play a neutral site game against Duke so we can get some of this Amazon Prime money that they're.
I'm down with that.
They just got an hour ago.
I don't think they'll play us in any sports except baseball, though. But all right, we got to get out of here. Maybe we'll do another show on basketball, baseball because we kind of ran out of time today. Bobby, good stuff, man. This hour flew by. Appreciate Philip and Bobby. Appreciate everybody in the comments section as well. We'll talk some Pirate baseball and more tomorrow on Friday's show to wrap up the week. We'll see you then.